We were talking about reasons why people should consider what their families feel about their relationships.
Some doing this, some doing the taboo.
Let me add extra spice to it.
The period of blaming is over.
Because it's their mess.
So it's subjective.
They need the love of their family.
Being over?
Yes.
No. Again, that's subjective.
It's... I said in the majority. You need to share. You need to like and subscribe, my people.
I agree 100%.
That one we do agree on.
Yes. Definitely.
For those of you that have been enjoying these viewings, you need to share. Yeah. You need to like and subscribe, my people. We want the content to be all over the world.
Yes.
So make sure you subscribe.
Yes.
And we will remember BabaShola to engage more, because sometimes me and you, we are so heated. We are carried away. Yeah. And we want you to join the conversation.
Definitely. And the reason why you have to say that is that we get carried away and we forget to inform people to like and share.
Yes.
So please do like, share, and subscribe as well.
Yes, and encourage your friends to subscribe. Because the topics that we're dealing with, we know that they are topics that people have told us that it needs to be sorted.
Definitely.
It needs to be sorted. Yeah. And the last time we were here, BabaShola, we were talking about reasons why people should consider what their families feel about their relationships, because it could have impact. Because you can't divorce yourself from your family.
Definitely not.
Yes. And I remember there were some disclaimers you were making. This is just our point of view. And I'm saying, yes, but we are telling you from experience that these things have been issues. And so there's one I wanted to contribute to the discussion. When you want to forsake all other opinions, because I was in a similar situation, love will conquer all. There's a couple that actually met and they fell in love at university, which is the place that quite a lot of young people meet if they go down that route. And after they've fallen in love, they've decided to get married. They find out that they're siblings. What are your thoughts on that? They're siblings, yes, it's the father on the father's side that they're siblings, obviously different moms.
Yeah.
But clearly their fathers were not in their lives. Their father was not a reference point, and they did not realize until much later on.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one, because at that point they had to now think about telling the significant parents that were in their lives. And guess what happened to them?
What happened?
Their significant parents were not in agreement to the relationship. So what should they do in that situation? Like I said, you have to bring your parents along where possible. So what are your takeaways on that one?
It's a tough one. And I can just imagine viewers saying, some doing this, some doing the taboo, some saying never is going to. What are my thoughts? Now you've put me on the spot, because it's something that...
Because I'm obviously of the opinion, as you know, that as much as possible we bring our parents along. Because don't forget now, if the parents, the father wasn't involved in their lives, that's how that situation occurred. So even when they were dating, both of them they were not keen to make reference to their biological fathers, because the biological fathers weren't in their lives. In fact, the situation was so bad that they had to make a decision whether this love will conquer all. And I think that's what they decided to do.
Stayed together?
They stayed together.
I have nothing against that. Staying together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they stay together. Because, number one, in some parts of the world, especially in Africa, where I come from, it's a taboo. It's seen as a taboo. But you have to remember that the royal family, they married cousins. I'm not saying it's right, but they married cousins. And they're still together. It is very, very difficult. And first and foremost, am I going to start blaming the father? I can't blame the father. The period of blaming is over.
Yes.
So we have to face the reality.
Yes.
And the reality is that if the two people involved can overcome,
we'll be very interested in your views on this one. Because, in fact, let me add extra spice to it. The lady involved in that relationship is already pregnant. And the families, in essence, didn't feel that they should carry on. But there was already pregnancy.
When they say they shouldn't carry on, so what is expected of both of them? To divorce and then go their separate ways with the pregnant woman?
Well, let's look at it, longevity, which is really what this red flags is about. For me, there's a few learning in that.
Good.
Number one, regardless of who you meet, you need to consider what could be barriers to your relationship for the long haul. And we said parents are one of them. If there's, religious differences, cultural differences, those are things to be considered. If there's one parent, it's very common. The one that's most common that we're aware of is interracial marriages. Yeah. Do you understand? If you've both been brought up in the same kind of culture, but you're from different cultural backgrounds, that may be more manageable than if not. But, these are various different scenarios, including this one I've just presented. And the parents were not happy, including the father, because they went and looked for the estranged father. And the estranged father said, no, it's not, it's taboo. So what should they do in that situation? Down the line is what I'm looking at, because they're going to have a child anyway. And
they will have to explain to the child.
Exactly.
They have to explain to the child. When you say parents are not happy, this same father was the father in their lives?
No.
Exactly. So what right does it have to? It doesn't have any right to be unhappy or happy.
I'm just looking at the longevity of their relationship, because at the end of the day, this has happened. Do they have the child? And after they've had the child, they obviously bring that child up together. But should they consider this something that their families are not prepared? Because remember, at the end of the day, this child has parents, has grandparents, and since now everybody's found out, I still think there's value in winning the parents over, because it's their mess.
I know. Let me liken this to a lady that got raped and got pregnant.
Yes.
So what should a lady do?
Depending on how you feel about how precious a life is. Because that is the reason why people have abortion, is that not? Oh, I was raped and it was a traumatic situation. And I don't want to take away from that, because most of these situations are born out of a very traumatic experience. But we've also known people who have been born out of those traumatic situations that have done fantastic things.
So it's subjective.
Yes. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have the relationship. What I'm saying is they should consider the effects of the relationship further down the line. Because you see, what happened to them, what happened to their parents can continue to repeat itself if it's not resolved. So for me, I'm not saying they shouldn't be together, but I'm saying this situation should be dealt with. And since they both their families are not happy, that is the way. They're young. They need allies. Yeah. They will need allies, definitely.
There's no template to resolve this issue.
There's no template, but they don't want that thing to repeat in their family. So if we in their own family line. So let's put it more general out there and say, if you are in a relationship that significant others in your life, because both this couple, they both had at least their moms, usually it's the mothers that are left holding the baby literally. Maybe the one of the mothers was a little bit more lenient than the other mother. I believe the mother of the man was a little bit more lenient, but the mother of the girl, no, she wasn't having it. So I think it's an opportunity for this situation to be put out there and those parents called to order, because they're the ones that is going to suffer. And I believe that it's going to impact them. It's already traumatic. They're already an outcast in their community. And once you've pointed out royal families, other families can get married under those circumstances. They do it with support. Do you understand?
They do.
Because now they're in uni, some of their they have finished even their education. Of course, there are other things to consider. When you're at uni, it's not the time to be making babies. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I appreciate that. Maybe that was not their intention, but it's happened. And should they... I do recall that they weren't going to abort that baby, and I think that's the right decision. Because it's a life.
It's very, very tough. They need the support of their parents.
Definitely.
They need the support of family.
Definitely. So these are things that I'm talking about, and I'm sharing in this context because we find ourselves in that. And I shared with you my own experience that these people. We were going to do it all. Love will conquer all. And for 2 years...
You still don't believe that love can conquer all?
No. Love alone is not enough.
These two that now realize or now found out that they have the same biological father, are you saying love can conquer that situation?
I'm saying they need love, but not just their own love alone. They need the love of their families, they need the love of their community.
Yeah, I agree.
And that is the cocoa of my matter about the situation.
So to do more research, if you find yourself falling in love,
yes,
do more research.
Do research, not just on whether or not you're related, the families, the backgrounds you're from. Is there anyone you need to win over? Is there time? If you're religious,
win over.
Yes, because they're your family.
Win over?
Yes.
No.
When I say win over, I don't mean necessarily that they are in your lives all the time, but there is peace. As much as it lies with you, be at peace with your family members so that you yourself can have peace, so that your children that you have will be able to have relationships with them if necessary. Even if it's, a situation where it's not frequent. But those children that you're going to have the right to know who their parents and grandparents are, because this is what has caused this scenario that I've given to you. But, family lines have been cut off. So, and also that goes to what we were alluding to about men in particular. I'm sorry. I have to, because it's some men that easily walk away. Women, it's harder for us to walk away because we have the children. I'm not saying all men do it, but men who have more than one relationship, you have to do the extra mile to reach out to those children, even if you are not in their lives anymore, because it's going to affect them. At least I have a son.
Again, that's subjective.
It's
it's subjective.
Okay, let's think of a scenario. Your father is the rapist. To go back to your scenario, and that rapist is nowhere to be found. For now, that's an issue. But if that child gets on in life later on, and you as the mother told them the circumstances of their birth, do you not think even still that child might want to go and look for that father?
Yeah,
exactly. So it still doesn't negate the fact that that father, where possible, should be, at least even if it's just to say to that child, I'm sorry what I did to your mother those many years ago. I was not in my correct sense.
But you as well would agree with me that there are many stories of women that have walked out on their family. On the family, they just simply walked out.
I didn't say it doesn't happen that way around. I said in the majority. Okay. All right. Anyway, drop in the comments. Yes. What are your thoughts on these topics that we're discussing? Thank you so much. And we'll see. We haven't finished this topic, but the whole point is do more research. If there are people, when I say research, find out more about the family that you're planning to marry into. Find out what the great-grandfather did. What's the taboos in that family? and see if you can work towards bringing unity, bringing resolve.
I agree 100%. I agree 100% because after all, when two people come together, they're from different backgrounds and they're coming to compromise. So is this something you're able to, it's an uphill task. There are some backgrounds that you look and say, oh, wow, it's going to be extremely difficult.
Exactly. So, and this is that one we do agree on.
Yes. Definitely.
Because you want your relationship to be sweet. We don't want to endure marriage. We want to enjoy the marriage.
I like that. And let's end on that good note.
Subscribe. Share.
I like.
And let us know what you think.